Shattered vows. Daniel and Sarah had been married for 6 years, and from the outside, they seemed like the perfect couple. They had met in college, fallen in love quickly, and built a life together that most people envied. Daniel was devoted to Sarah. He would leave love notes around the house, surprise her with little gifts, and plan date nights to keep the spark alive. To him, she was everything: his best friend, his partner, his love. Sarah, however, had grown restless. What started as a fairy tale slowly became routine, and the excitement that once filled their lives began to fade. While Daniel was content with the comfort of their marriage, Sarah yearned for the thrill they used to share. The more Daniel showered her with love, the more suffocated she felt. She started to withdraw, her mind wandering to the possibilities of something more, something different. It was at her office where she met Adam. He was charismatic and adventurous, everything that Daniel was not. Adam made Sarah feel alive again. Their conversations were intoxicating, filled with passion and the thrill of the unknown. At first, it was just harmless flirting, but soon, those stolen glances and lingering touches turned into secret meetings. Sarah knew it was wrong, but the excitement was too enticing to resist. Daniel noticed the changes in Sarah. She became distant, her laughter less frequent, and her phone always seemed to be buzzing with messages she wouldn't let him see. He tried to ignore the gnawing feeling in his gut, telling himself that it was just a rough patch. He planned a surprise weekend getaway, hoping to rekindle their love, but Sarah declined, claiming she had to work. One evening, as Daniel prepared dinner, he noticed Sarah's phone buzzing on the counter. She was in the shower, and for the first time, Daniel felt the overwhelming urge to look. He hesitated, his heart pounding in his chest. He had always trusted her, but the months of doubts and suspicions finally overcame him. With trembling hands, he picked up the phone and unlocked it. His heart sank as he scrolled through the messages. There it was, plain as day, texts from Adam, full of words that made Daniel's stomach turn, the kind of messages lovers exchanged, not friends. They spoke of secret rendezvous, whispered promises, and feelings that should have only been meant for him. Daniel felt the room spin as the reality of betrayal hit him like a wave, crashing down and drowning him in its weight. Sarah came out of the shower to find Daniel standing in the kitchen, her phone in his hand and a look of devastation on his face. She froze, her heart stopping as she realized what he had seen. "Daniel," she began, but words failed her. He looked at her, eyes filled with a mix of pain, anger, and heartbreak. "How long?" he asked, his voice barely more than a whisper. Tears welled up in her eyes, but she couldn't find an excuse, no way to justify the betrayal. "It just happened," she stammered. "I never meant to hurt you." Daniel's hands shook as he set the phone down, trying to process the betrayal of the woman he loved more than anything. "You never meant to hurt me?" he repeated, his voice rising in anguish. "You lied to me, Sarah. You lied every single day." She stepped forward, but he recoiled as if her touch would burn him. I was unhappy," she admitted, her voice cracking. "I felt like I was losing myself, like we were losing what we used to have." Daniel closed his eyes, trying to hold back the tears that threatened to spill. "You should have told me," he said, his voice breaking. "We could have worked on it. I would have done anything for you, Sarah. Anything. But instead, you chose to cheat. You chose to break everything we built." Silence filled the room, heavy and suffocating. Sarah stood there, knowing there was nothing she could say to undo what she had done. She had been selfish, and now she was facing the reality of her actions. Daniel turned away, his heart shattered into pieces. "I thought you were my forever," he said quietly, "but I guess I was wrong." With that, he walked out of the kitchen, out of the life they had shared, leaving Sarah standing there, alone with her guilt and regret. She had made her choice, and now she had to live with the consequences. In the weeks that followed, Daniel moved out, leaving the home they had once filled with laughter and love. Sarah tried to reach out, tried to explain, but he couldn't face her. The pain was too raw, too deep. He realized that love was not enough to save them, not when trust was broken. In the end, the love Daniel had for Sarah became a memory, beautiful yet stained with the betrayal that had torn them apart. And Sarah, left with the fragments of a life she had destroyed, learned that sometimes the thrill of the moment is not worth the loss of something real and true.